Looking for cool toys like the ones seen in this review? You can shop thousands of action figures, statues, busts, replicas, costumes, graphic novels, and much more at Big Bad Toy Store. Just click the link in the description below this video.
Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Mech Ideas Demolition Crue, DC-01 Apex, and DC-02 Geminus. Now, if you guys have been following me for any time at all, you probably are aware that I'm not really that big of a Transformers collector. It's not that I don't like Transformers or anything like that, it's just that I didn't really collect a lot of Transformers as a kid, so I didn't really have the whole nostalgic connection to them, and thus it's never really followed me into my collecting life. I just haven't really ever picked up a whole lot of Transformers. So this here is actually the very first Transformers related review I have ever done. There is a reason that I chose to pick up these two particular third-party toys. As a kid, one of the only Transformers figures I actually had was Twin Twist. I know, it's an unusual one to have as your only Transformers toy, but I did. I had Twin Twist. I thought he was a really cool toy, even though he didn't really transform. He just was one of the fold-up Transformers. But I have that nostalgic connection to him. So when I saw the new Mech Ideas DC-02 Geminus here, I realized that this was their homage to Twin Twist. So I had to pick up this set and check them out firsthand for myself. So sit back and enjoy a novice look at a third-party Transformers toy in the Demolition Crue.
Alright, so Apex and Geminus both come in some really cool blister card style packaging. It showcases the figures within in their vehicle modes, and you can also see that they both come with the exact same sets of weapons. They both have two blasters and a large hammer weapon. The top of the card back has the Demolition Crue logo on there, which, kind of interesting how Crue is spelled kind of like Motley Crue with the umlaut over the U. That's kind of clever there. And then, of course, they got the labels at the top, either DC-01 Apex with a cool image of Apex there, or DC-02 Geminus with an image of that bot. Now, the back of both the packages there have some cool little information and a little story to tell for both Geminus and Apex. And then down at the bottom, we even got some stats for the characters, and it shows the characters both in their vehicle modes and their robot modes. Now, one of the things that Mech Ideas did with these blister cards is they made them collector friendly. You guys know I am always a huge fan of this. So basically what that means, you can just kind of cut the little tape that's on there, and then you can just slide the card back up, and you can remove the figure from the package very easily. What's great about that is that if you ever decide you want to throw these guys back on the blister cards, you're able to do so very easily. So of course, before we get into looking at the actual figures themselves, I'll reiterate that both of these figures are based on the G1 Topspin and Twin Twist figures. Apex, of course, being the homage to Topspin, while Geminus is the homage to Twin Twist, one of the only G1 Transformers I actually owned as a kid. So I'm pretty excited to check this guy out. So we'll start with him. First of all, let's go ahead and check him out in his vehicle mode. You can see that he does sport the exact same blue and light gray colors that the original Twin Twist figure had. And of course, he's got the defining feature being the little silver drills at the front end. Now, the drills are a little smaller on this. The vintage toy had much larger drills on there, but I think the reason for this is actually because it'll look a little bit better in robot mode, because his robot mode does display a little different than that vintage figure, and I'll show you that when we get to it. But he does have some really cool little designs on there. You can see there's lots of nice touch-ups with some silver paint kind of on the sides for the vents and everything. He does have little tracks and treads kind of sculpted on the bottom there, but if you turn him over, you'll notice that there are no actual wheels on these guys. So they are unable to roll around. They just kind of got the sculpted treads on there. So the Apex figure in his vehicle mode, it's very similar. You can see that the builds are a lot alike. The only big difference, of course, is that instead of having the drills on the front, Apex actually has kind of the little vent pieces sticking off the front, and he also has wings that are both sticking off the back of the vehicle. But otherwise, the overall design of the vehicle, very, very similar. So these are very similar figures. Of course, his color scheme is reversed from Geminus, so he is more blue, where Geminus is more of that lighter gray color. Now, like I mentioned, both of these guys come with the exact same weapons. They have 2 blasters and a hammer. Now, what's really cool is that you can use these weapons in their vehicle modes as well. First of all, if you've got those blasters there, you'll notice that there are 2 holes on the backs of both of the vehicles, so that way you can plug the blasters right into the back of the vehicles and use them kind of like blaster cannons. Now, there's also a couple different ways we can use the hammer accessory with this. First of all, let's use it as the large cannon. It's kind of like a big tank cannon. You'll see that there are 2 small holes on the backs of both of the vehicles there, and there are 2 little pegs on the bottom of the hammerhead. You can plug this into the back, and that way it doubles as a large cannon on the back of the vehicle. You can also use that in combination with those 2 blasters that we already assembled. That way it's just loaded with multiple firing options. Now, if you don't wish to use the hammer as a cannon piece, there is somewhere else you can actually store it. The hammer has the ability to break down into 3 pieces to put it into storage mode. The handle comes off of the head and also breaks apart into 2 pieces. You can then attach both of the small pieces to the top of the hammerhead and then plug that hammerhead onto the bottom of the vehicle. It completely hides it, makes it look like it's part of the vehicle mode, and the vehicles still sit flat so it doesn't hang down too low, it's nice and flush. So it's really cool that you have an option for putting all of those weapons on the vehicle mode, that way there's nothing left just sitting on the shelf next to them. Now, of course, they do include a sheet of instructions that will help guide you through the transformation process. The instructions are in full color. It's the same sheet for both figures because their transformation is pretty much identical. In fact, all the way up to about step 20, it's the same. And then it kind of splits off on there and tells you how to do the rest of the transformation for both figures. So what do you say we go ahead and get these guys transformed?
Alright, so I'll quickly go ahead and run down the transformation process for you here. Like the instructions showed, it's pretty much the same for both of them, just a few little subtle differences at the end, like with the wings on Apex kind of folding around, but otherwise it's exactly the same. So we'll just go ahead and we'll transform Geminus here, so you can see how that works. First thing you want to do is fold down the legs. See those kind of fold outwards here. You can kind of fold the feet up. Then you want to move what's going to become the arms out of the way. The body of it kind of folds all the way up here to place, kind of snaps down there. Then you got the head that kind of rotates out, turn the head around, and you got this nice little latch on the back there, clips into place to kind of hold the head up front. Kind of rotate those legs around, but you can get the legs all standing here. So then it's just a matter of transforming the arms. You got these little pieces on the back, they just kind of fold inward, point towards each other just like that. Then the shoulders kind of fold up flush against the body there. And you can see the arms are kind of forming. And now we just kind of got these little parts on the forearms that fold up. You rotate it around to give them hands. All the joints on this are nice and tight. All the little compartments are really tight on there. You can see it does take a little bit of pressure to kind of pop open some of the joints, so I would definitely be a little careful with that. You don't want to break any of the little tabs that are holding anything together. Not that I really feel like I'm going to break any of the tabs. Everything seems to be working pretty well. But still wanted to point that out just to be careful with it. And there you go. I mean, he's all done. He's ready to go. As you can see, it's a pretty simple transformation. This is coming from a guy who really doesn't collect a lot of Transformer toys or play with them a lot, so I am certainly not an expert by any means of transforming any of these toys, and this guy here was very simple for me to transform. So you shouldn't really have any problems with it, and we've got ourselves a really nice robot mode now. And as I mentioned, he does got really nice tight joints all the way through. You can see he's got tight feet joints, so he stands up well. I do also like that the feet are on little rockers there, so you can kind of see how those rock around. They move up and down, so you should be able to get some good posing out of them there. The thighs twist, the knees bend, the head's on a nice little ball joint so you can roll it around. The shoulders come forward, the arms move up and down. You got nice double joints at the elbows there, the wrists swivel. So he transforms easy, he's got tight joints, and you should be able to get some pretty cool poses out of these guys.
Alright, so these guys look pretty great in robot mode, I must say. I'm really happy with the overall look of them. They've got some great little details on the actual robot mode. You can see kind of on the chest there's some nice paint, specifically on Geminus. You got kind of the yellow and the red little panels on there. You got some yellow on his shoulders and on his knees. And then Apex has some cool red detailing both on his shoulders and on his knees. So it's really cool looking. They've got great little head sculpts. And you know, one of the things I do want to mention, these are third-party Transformers, and what I really like about them is that they feel very nice. The overall weight of the figures is very nice. The plastic doesn't feel at all cheap. It's very solid. You know, I can move all the joints around. I don't feel like I'm going to snap anything. These guys are incredibly well made for being third-party Transformer toys. And I think that's awesome because this is my first experience with a third-party figure, so I didn't know exactly what to expect. And I will say that overall I am very, very pleased with these. So of course with those weapons, we can utilize those with the robot modes as well. You can put both of the blasters in the figure's hands and they hold them nice and firm, so you can have some two-handed blasting or just some single blasting action. And the same can be said for that hammer. You can have the figures wielding the hammer and you can even get some pretty cool two-handed poses out of them. And there is one final cool way you can display the weapons. Once again, we can break down the hammer into the storage mode there, and that way it clips onto the wrist of the character and kind of acts as a little wrist cannon. So if you want to do that instead, you've always got that option as well. Once again, I think it's so cool the way they thought through all the different ways we can use the weapons on these characters, so that way they can always have everything attached to them, and you never have to leave anything out if you don't want to. Alright guys, it's comparison time! First of all, let's go ahead and take a look at Geminus standing alongside the G1 Twin Twist figure. Now, as you can see them standing here in robot mode, the recreation of the new figure here is very similar to that original one. Now, one of the big differences, and this is what I kind of hinted at earlier, are the placement of the drills. On the vintage figure, the drills folded up and went back in his legs. On the new Geminus figure here, they opted to leave the drills up on the shoulders. And I do think that is a really cool element that adds a neat little design to this new character. And I think that is one of the reasons why the drills aren't as big. If he had really large drills, they may not look as good on the robot mode of the figure. One of the other neat little things I want to point out on there, which is also true for the Apex figure, if you look at his chest, there is definitely a spot molded on there that could totally fit an Autobot sticker or even a rub sign sticker if you've got one. Because the G1 figure, you can see he's got that Autobot sticker on his chest. So I think that's a cool little attention to detail too. While these are third-party bots, if you want to put a sticker on there, you've got the option to do it. And then here he is in his vehicle mode, standing alongside the vehicle mode version of Twin Twist, so you can see the similarities there. Alright, now let's go ahead and jump on over to taking a look at Apex, standing alongside the G1 Top Spin. Again, very cool little details there. You can see they are very similar in design. One of the big differences on the new Apex figure, of course, are the larger vents sticking off his shoulders next to his head, which are similar to the drills on Geminus there. But otherwise, it's a really cool nod to this vintage figure. And again, here he is in vehicle mode, so you can get that comparison shot as well. These guys, I must say, are incredibly cool. For somebody who is not a big Transformers collector, I never know exactly what I should be trying to pick up or where to even dive into getting Transformers type toys. It's something that I didn't really collect a lot as a kid, which you guys all well know by now. But having the vintage Twin Twist figure and then seeing these new third-party versions of these characters, I knew that was something that I definitely wanted to check out. So with this being my first experience with a third-party Transformers toy, I must say I am incredibly impressed with these. The overall quality of the figures is very nice, the transformations are simple, the articulation is great, all the joints are nice and tight, and I think that these will make some really cool display pieces in your collection. Another great thing about them is that they are pretty affordable. As far as third-party Transformers go at least, with these guys only running about $37.99 a piece at BigBadToyStore.com, I think that's a pretty good deal, especially if you're a collector of these third-party type transforming toys. Now here's another cool added bonus. If you buy the set of both of these from BigBadToyStore.com, you also get this added bonus head for Geminus, which features some cool battle damage. It's just a ball-jointed head, so you can pop off his old head, and you can put this new one on in its place. So that's a pretty cool incentive to pick up both of these figures from BigBadToyStore.com. So there you go, guys. There's my look at the brand new Demolition Crue set from Mech Ideas. I'm pretty happy with these guys, and if you're a Transformers fan or you're looking into picking up some third-party figures, this might be a cool set for you to check out. Until next time,